Hall of Famer Tony Dungy, Football Night in America analyst, joining us on the program. Good to see you, Tone. The philosophy of a coach going into the playoffs, are you more aggressive or more conservative? Does it change up in the playoffs as opposed to what you did during the regular season?
For me, I always tried to be myself and be who we are and tried not to let it change you. But it was very interesting. We had the Commanders last night. I talked to Dan Quinn before the game, and he said, I have to be more aggressive. And he did. They went for it on fourth down a couple times, went for it when I would have kicked field goals myself. But he definitely made it a point to be more aggressive and let's go try to win this game.
What do you see from Jayden Daniels that is not normal?
Unbelievable poise for a 22-year-old or 23-year-old, whatever he is, to come into those big moments and be able to just function like nothing else is going on. I was talking to Todd Bowles and the defensive coaches before the game. They said, we've got to get the ball out of this guy's hands because when he has it, he makes things happen. And they couldn't do that. They blitzed, they played coverages, they did different things. He kept the ball, he made great decisions, and that's just beyond those years. For however he does it, I'm not sure.
But when you're drafting somebody, you can look at tangible items. I can watch you at the combine, I can see things on tape. Poise is something that I don't know how you measure it or what you look for when you're trying to find out if somebody has it or doesn't.
That is the key thing, too, especially with quarterbacks. Everybody wants to look at arm strength. They want to look at all these measurables. And it's really, can you process information and then can you function in the big moments just like it's practice? And that's what this young man has done all year. They're winning all these close games at the end. He's making the plays to win it. And that's what you can't measure. That's what you don't know until you get them.
The team that lost over the weekend that's in the best shape moving forward.
Um, you never think you're in good shape when you lose. You always look at the couple plays you could have made, but um, you know,
Well, let me run
that's
down the list here. If I
okay.
said the Chargers, Steelers, Broncos, Packers, Buccaneers, out of those teams, who is in the best position moving forward for success?
I'd have to go with the Broncos because I like their young quarterback. I think they have belief in him. They've got a defense that is a playmaking unit that's aggressive, and I think they're going to keep all of those elements in place for a while. Some of these other teams have some of the elements. They're going to lose some of them. They've got to make decisions. I think the Broncos going forward are on the uptick.
If you ran the Steelers, what would you do moving forward?
I would try to find the long-term answer at quarterback and build around that. And I thought the move to get Russell Wilson was really good. And in the middle of the year, it looked like a very good move. But somewhere something is just missing, and they've got to find that quarterback and build on it. And I don't know where that comes from. I really don't, Dan.
Do you think, did you see enough from Russell Wilson that he would hold on to this job?
I think he could, but then again, what are you looking at? Are you looking at another year, another 2 years? I'd like to get that guy that I can build with for the next 7 or 8 years. But I just don't know how you do that. They're not picking high enough to
Yeah.
get that in the draft. Can you go out and find one of these younger 28, 30-year-old quarterbacks? I just don't know. He might be the best answer for the short term.
What do you think of Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers?
That would be a short-term answer. I don't think that's a good one. I would if I'm going to do that, I'd stay with Russell Wilson. I've already had a chance to see that for 1 year, build on that. But I don't know. Maybe Justin Fields, and maybe they've seen enough in him to say, hey, he could be the answer down the road. I'm just not sure.
If you start to look at these games, as we move, if I gave you the Lions or the field in the NFC, who are you taking?
I'm probably taking the Lions, but it's going to come down to the Lions in Philadelphia, in my opinion. They're on a collision course. Philadelphia has this monstrous defense that can really shut people down. Detroit has looked unstoppable on offense. They're putting up 30 every week. I don't think they're going to put up 30 on Philadelphia. So the question is, does Philly's offense, can it generate enough in the big moments? I think that's going to be a great game, and I think that's what we're going to end up seeing.
All right, I'll give you the Chiefs or the field in the AFC.
Oh gosh, I'd have to take the field because I think Baltimore can do some damage. I think Buffalo is the problem for Kansas City. The negative for those two teams, they've got to play each other, and they're going to knock each other out and wear each other down. I think Baltimore has a great shot to win this game in Buffalo. Not many teams I would pick to go in there and win it, but they've got the physicality, they've got the mentality. If Lamar Jackson can play his regular season game up there in a big moment, they're going to be tough to deal with.
He's Tony Dungy, the Hall of Famer. Tony won a Super Bowl as a player and as a coach. As a defensive back, who was that running back that you knew it was going to hurt when you had to tackle? Like these defensive backs who have to go against Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, you know what it reminds me of, DP? Earl Campbell. And I can remember our DBs talking to that front four, hey, you guys are supposed to be the steel curtain. You better show up today. We do not want to see that man coming through the secondary. You did not want to see him with a full head of steam.
Oh, my goodness. He would just take on, and guys would go up top with him and try to, I just want to trip you up. I don't want to try to be a man and go up. I'm making a business decision with Earl Campbell.
Yes, he ran over Isaiah Robertson. You probably remember the play. He put his head down and just blew him up. And Woody Woodenhoff, our defensive coordinator, was going to run it back and make a point, and Lambert said, don't run that back. Just keep going.
How different are the Ravens with Derrick Henry?
They're different because of the mentality. I think that's what they want to be. That's what they should be. But now with Henry, they feel like they can be that no matter where they are, home or away, no matter what the score is. And the crazy thing about it, and one of the reasons I actually voted for Lamar Jackson as the most valuable player, is you watch and they get in that zone read and he hands it off, and you'll have defenders that won't even chase Derrick Henry because they've got to watch Lamar. And if I was a defensive back, I'd be sitting there saying, hey, go tackle that big man. We'll deal with Lamar. You better go tackle Henry. But it's just that double-edged sword where you've got to defend the whole field. You've got to watch Lamar keeping the ball, and then Henry gets those downhill runs. When they get that going, they are super tough.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me that when this person votes for the MVP and said, you know, I thought Lamar Jackson made Derrick Henry better. If you look at what he was like with Tennessee, they got him, and anybody else could have gotten Derrick Henry, but you got to give Lamar credit because you focus on Lamar, and it allowed Derrick Henry to be, a star again.
Yeah, sometimes it's just that perfect storm, the right person fitting in. I think Derrick Henry went to the absolute best system for him. Saquon Barkley, you could say the same thing. Okay, you've got a big offensive line that's creating holes. You've got a quarterback that keeps the defense honest, and they have to defend him. And now you've got a 2,000-yard back. And I think both of those guys just hit the perfect system to showcase their talents.
Any issues with the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel?
No, I love them hiring Mike Vrabel. What I didn't like was them firing Gerard Mayo in 1 year. When you sit there and say, we've got a succession plan, we know that eventually Bill Belichick is going to leave, and it's all set up. We've got this young guy. He knows us. We know him. We're going to build this way. And then after 12 games or 14 games, you make a decision to terminate it. It doesn't make sense to me. I've told you and I have had this discussion before. Chuck Noll, 1-13, his first year. Tom Landry won 1 game his first year. I played on Bill Walsh's first team. We won 2 games. Okay, that's about 9 or 10 Super Bowls there that wouldn't have happened in this era of this, well, if you don't get it done in 1 year and turn it around. Dan Rooney, I remember him telling me, I knew I had the right person when we were 1-13. That's when I knew Chuck Noll was the real deal. And it's, I get so mad at these owners. Don't be impatient. You can't build Rome in a day, and especially when Rome's been torn down. So I'm just a little frustrated with the Raiders. I'm a little frustrated with the Patriots right now. Let things play out. Give these young guys a chance.
I think the Patriots realized they never should have promised Gerard Mayo the job, even though they put it in his contract. and therefore they had to let him coach 1 year. I think they wanted Vrabel last year, but they were tied up with this contract with Gerard Mayo.
Maybe that was the case. And Mike Vrabel is a proven winner. He's been there. He knows them. They know him. It makes logical sense, and he's going to do a great job. But I just these one and dones just bug me to death because I remember my first year, Dan, with the Bucs. We had 13 straight losing seasons. I come in, we're 0-5, and everybody in town is saying, "Oh, we're worse off than we've ever been." And the owners took me to lunch and said, "Hey, this is not a 6-week project. It's not a 9-month project. We're in this together." Well, the next year we're 10-6 and in the playoffs, and it just that's the kind of support you need.
Did you think you were being asked to go to lunch to get fired?
I did. I really did. When they said, "Hey, we need to talk to you," and they're in business suits, I was, okay, this might not be good. But they surprised me and just said, "Hey, we understand, and we're in it, and don't panic. Don't worry about these next few weeks." We ended up being 1-8 before we turned it around. But they were perfect, and that's what you need.
Tell me why. Now, this came up with the Chicago Bears. They didn't bring in Jim Harbaugh for an interview. They didn't bring in Bill Belichick for an interview. Why wouldn't you bring in great, football minds like that to tell you what they think of your franchise? So you would gather information when you come in. So why wouldn't you do something like that? You get advice for free.
You could, but here's what I think is a big problem in the hiring process. A lot of these owners do not know what they're looking for. I know I've consulted with some and asked them, what are they looking for? And they just, well, who's good out there? And tell me this. Dan Rooney, to me, was the perfect formula, okay? I know what I want. I want a young 30-ish guy because I don't want to do this every 5 years. So I don't want to hire a 50-year-old. I don't want to hire a 70-year-old. It's going to be a young guy. We're a blue-collar town, okay? We're built around defense. I want a hardcore defensive coach. And I want a good communicator. I want a teacher. So in 60 years, he hires 30-something-year-old Chuck Noll, a very good communicator, defensive mind, strong will. Then he goes and hires Bill Cowher in his 30s, defensive coach, strong-willed, communicator. Then he hires Mike Tomlin. He doesn't go interview everybody because I don't want the next thing from outer space. I want a defensive-minded, tough, young coach. So if you know what you're looking for, then you go get that. Now, if you don't know what you're looking for, then you've got to talk to everybody that comes across, everybody who's recommended to you. But my advice to these guys, figure out what you want, what works for you, okay, and then go find that.
Is it just good enough to make the playoffs in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, or does he have to win? I mean, it's been a long time since they won a playoff game.
It has been a while, and you do have to win, and eventually you've got to come into the playoffs hot. You've got to build this, and you've got to win a couple of games in the playoffs. And the last 3 or 4 years has been very disappointing. I thought in midseason they had a team to do it, but something happened and the defense just didn't play the way that they can play down the stretch. And I know ownership's disappointed, the city's disappointed, and they've got to figure out a way to win a playoff game.
But you don't move on from Mike Tomlin.
Let me ask this. Who am I going to get that's better? And that's the thing that's going to go through Art Rooney's mind. Okay, yeah, I could move on from Mike Tomlin. What's my next plan? And when you look around out there, there's no guarantees that you're going to get somebody who knows your organization, who can build this and do it any better. So I think that's what's going through their mind right now.
Good to talk to you, Coach, as always. Thanks for joining us. Safe travels.
All right. Always good to talk to you, brother.
That's Tony Dungy, Hall of Famer.